recounted and dissected, rather than on underlying issues that might more readily open old wounds. Johnson proposed rigid enforcement of our main principle, the exclusion of political questions. To guarantee widespread appeal, sectional discord would be repressed in favor of straightforward accounts focusing on strategy and tactics, exhibiting what Buell later called strict fairness to the testimony of both sides. The articles would be marked by good temper and unpartisan character, with each side confining controversy to its own ranks. Union and Confederate writers alike would be urged to emphasize only the benefit as well as the glory of the specific events they were describing. These rules enhanced the prospects of wide popular acceptance, but at the expense of burying crucial aspects of Civil War memory. Not everyone shared Buell's enthusiasm for rehashing the late war, however free of rancor. The Century Publishing Company's president and business manager, Roswell Smith, initially expressed doubt whether the project would increase the circulation of the magazine at all. Others, like Abraham Lincoln's former assistant private secretary, John Hay, firmly believed that the war had gone by, predicting that readers would resist any efforts to churn up ancient animosities that reminded them of the painful events that had left dozens of cities ravaged and 600,000 young men dead. Of course, Hay was at the time busy collaborating with his one-time White House colleague John G. Nicolay in a massive biography of the late president, which he intended for magazine serialization as well. He perhaps feared that the proposed new project might preempt their own. Buell, however, would not be dissuaded. He insisted that a Civil War series would not only interest veterans in their own memories, but also contribute to instructing the generation which has grown up since the war for the Union. His boss, Richard Gilder, editor since 1881, was widely known to the public at the time as both the magazine's unbilled voice and also as a prominent poet. Buell and Johnson dabbled in verse as well. But it was likely as a Union veteran, too, he had served briefly as an emergency volunteer to repel the 1863 Confederate invasion of Pennsylvania, that Gilder at once cordially adopted the suggestion, according to an official introduction prepared 3 years later. Although the Philadelphia Times had published a similar series in 1879, also from both Union and Confederate vantage points, Gilder insisted that this war series is a flank movement on all our rivals. It is a great scheme. He eventually won the support of publisher Smith by stressing the project's commercial, not educational possibilities. Ultimately, Smith too came to see the wisdom and profitability in expanding the reader base among the war's survivors. Enlightening the proud children of the war's veterans would provide a bonus, since they not unimportantly represented a new generation of potential subscribers. In other words, the series struck editors and publisher alike not only as a genuine public service, but more important, as a lucrative marketing bonanza. Encouraged to proceed, Gilder assigned Johnson to lead the effort, with Buell assisting. Buell prepared an outline during his summer vacation. Johnson began contacting potential contributors. By then, few inside the company doubted that the series would prove appealing. Yet it is probably fair to say that no one who signed off on the project in 1883 could have imagined the scope, size, importance, or enduring reputation that it eventually achieved. Nor did they anticipate the setbacks that nearly derailed it before it could see the light of day. Little did I think as a boy during the Civil War, as I read the news from the front every night to my father, Johnson later remembered, that I should someday come into close personal relations with many of the commanders on both sides whose names were then household words to us. Indeed, many of these living legends eventually became contributors, but some initially proved so reluctant to participate in the war series that the enterprise nearly collapsed before it could begin. A writer who later remembered working for Gilder recalled of his skill for tapping talent. No other was so bent upon finding not only new writers, but new paths for established ones. But for a time, the recruitment of star contributors, an effort Gilder jokingly called general catching, proved far more difficult than anyone at the Century had reckoned. Not surprisingly, the editors first approached the former president and undisputed hero of the Union cause, Ulysses S. Grant. But as Johnson admitted initially, we made no progress in this flank attack upon the general's position. Still physically drained by his recent